Good afternoon, Julian. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, thank you.
Now, you recently came off stage from quite an excellent presentation. Perhaps you could tell us a little bit more about what went on.
Oh, okay. What I've been doing is a study looking at supply chain organisations in the process industries, and we've been trying to compare and contrast chemical industry, pharma industry and consumer goods, see if there's any learning transferable across the sectors, and also how those organisations are changing and adapting for the future against the challenges that each company is facing.
So, looking particularly maybe at, say, the pharma and the chemical, which I know obviously have a lot of relations, what are the key differences?
I think if you look at the chemical industry at the moment, they're still very much driven by cost reduction. They've had business unit structures, so they've been trying to align around product families and technologies. They're now realising, though, if they really want to optimise cost, if they want to drive inventory performance, they need to centralise far more. So they're moving away from this devolved, decentralised structure to one which is much more centralised with much more controls and governance in place. Pharma's actually been going through an interesting transition that over the last few years it's already centralised, but it's finding now if it wants to work better with emerging markets, engage better on new opportunities, it's actually got to let go some of the things it's
This is what I was going to say. I was thinking that sounds almost counterintuitive from what I've been hearing from people here, that actually there's a lot more talk of collaboration about working with others and expanding your network in emerging markets, and I can't see how a centralised approach allows you to develop as much.
Well, a centralised approach, though, can be very helpful in terms of actually building you the right platform for the future. So it enables you to do things like harmonise your processes, harmonise your master data management. So you've then got consistent ways of working in the organisation. Once you've got that, then it's actually easier to let go and devolve things. The trouble is that if you actually move to one of these network ways of working that you might describe as more entrepreneurial and fits with that culture, basically they can break down into anarchy if you're not careful.
Of course, because no one has one overarching stamp on it. There's no real specific direction and leadership, I suppose.
If you get it right, and this is the big challenge and why there's a number of critical success factors of putting this interdependent network in place, you need to have good process governance. You need really good people and good leadership, though, to make it happen. So there's some prerequisites you've got to put in place.
And I think one of the other challenges, of course, as you said, was emerging markets. How are people finding how are they making those changes necessary? And are we already beginning to get to a point where the emerging markets themselves are not so much taking over, but taking a larger stake of the industry?
I wouldn't say they're taking over at the moment. Obviously, people are using emerging markets in part as low-cost countries for sourcing product, which is very important. But if you look at a market like China, the domestic demand's huge. So you are finding companies investing and creating networks in China. The danger I think people are now worrying about is, well, as these children grow, they're still nothing like the size, say, of the European or the US market, which are still going to continue to be very big and dominant till 2015, 2020. But what you don't want to do is then allow them to become totally independent. You actually want them to maintain part of the family, so you can actually try and optimise the whole network, rather than actually just say, well, it's great being entrepreneurial to drive China sales, but actually then you'll again lose out that you'll get rise of local cost base, you'll lose inventory control. So it's a case of how do you blend these approaches? That's the real challenge.
And so what have been some of maybe the top key results that have come out of the study then?
I think, well, again, the study was quite broad and wide-ranging. I think the key thing we found is actually ways of describing the organisation and the kind of change journey that companies need to go through in terms of the capabilities they need to put in place and the situational leadership and organisation that they need. So if you're actually a young entrepreneurial organisation, actually certain models work and fit. But actually if you're a mature organisation, you need a different approach. You need to drive in different ways. And what we've created are a number of models which actually help people understand that and then understand the change journey. And then obviously, trying to work out, well, what do they need to do? What are the capabilities which we could help them install?
So, taking this study, obviously it sounds fascinating. If people did want to find out more, if they want to see the results, what's happening next?
Okay, we're publishing the report in the next 2 months' time. The priority at the moment is to feed back to the stakeholders and the people who contributed to the report.
Yes, and this is what I wanted to get into.
So we're going to be doing that feedback back in late June. But then the study will become publicly available.
Fantastic.
We'll publish it, and obviously then happy to talk to people about it.
Brilliant. Well, if they want to keep tabs on that and keep an eye out for when that's being launched,
it's going to come in late June. So.
Fantastic. And where will that be, or will it be
Well, we're going to hold
available?
a launch event in Frankfurt where we're going to do a big feedback session, and then, as I say, we'll actually have a published report which we can send to people if they're interested.
And if they want to register their interest, is there a URL, an email address?
The best contact is either to contact me at Warwick University or to contact Camelot, who are the sponsors and really help drive this organisation and study.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to tell us about it. I'm looking forward very much to seeing those results as and when they're available.
Right. Well, I hope people really appreciate and value the output. So thanks.
Thank you.